Hey, thanks for clicking on my face. It's a weird face, and I'm just kind of sitting in a chair, so I appreciate that. I appreciate you taking that risk. Now I'm gonna ask you to take one more risk and click that subscribe button so we can get into this review. We're gonna talk about Somewhere in Queens. This is an independent film that was picked up by Roadside Attractions. I know that's one of those. That's one of those distributors that you hear about and you go, okay. Um, it made a little less than $2 million at the box office, and it's available on video on demand. And I chose to rent it on iTunes. It does not have audio description. I didn't think it ever would. Roadside is not at the same level as some of the other indie distributors like A24 and Neon. They're kind of below that. They're not necessarily as powerhouse of a distribution factory. They don't necessarily get Best Picture nominees and stuff like that. So it kind of made me wonder a little bit about, will the film be good? But I was really interested in it anyway because it's Ray Romano starring, writing, and directing this film about an Italian-American family, specifically a father who wants this life for his kid that is not his. He does not want his son to have the same life as his own. And when he sees the opportunity for his son to get out of this, Italian American community where it seems like education has not been valued, and everybody just kind of works. Ray works in this construction job where he's not even the boss, and he kind of hates his job, and they kind of keep blaming him for everything. And he definitely just doesn't want his kid following his footsteps. I thought that was an interesting thing, and so I think it's also important to continue to remind people that not everything has audio description, and we need to talk about why, what's happening, and what it is that we need about audio description. So even with Apple and iTunes, their store is not 100%. It's funny because Apple Plus is, their original slate is 100%, but they're still working on their iTunes store, full of movies. So I basically told you what this film was. Ray Romano plays the dad. Laurie Metcalf plays the mother. The mother also is dealing with a lot. She's dealing with the fact that she's a cancer survivor, and she's trying to get close to her 5-year mark of being in remission, being cancer-free, and she remembers how scary it was and having to shave her head and everything, and a lot of that drives her character. And Laurie Metcalf is really good in a singular performance, I will say. I'm going to circle back around to that and tell you what I mean in a minute. Ray Romano is sort of the driving force here, and you can tell that as an actor and as a director, he really wanted to try to represent as authentic as possible of this Italian family and this dynamic, and it feels very much like he knows what he's talking about. Like, it's very nice to see this kind of a film where nobody's dropping mentions of mafias. Like, we can have a film like this where it's just steeped in Italian culture and heritage without necessarily it being a mafia movie. Or on any level, so I did appreciate that and what he was trying to do, and just show that, these families are like all families. We just want the best for our kids. You want the best for your kids. I want the best for my kids. This character wants the best for his kids. This is so relatable. It's so relatable. I don't know why this kid is called Sticks. I'm trying to figure, like, I assume it's a nickname, but I definitely must have missed what his real name is. I cannot imagine that this kid's real name is Sticks. Like, birth name on the birth certificate is Sticks. Like, I know we call people by nicknames a lot, and that cool. But I just kind of missed out on that moment where maybe like the mom always yells with like the full name, where they're like, Edward John Montgomery, you come back here. And then you're like, oh, so Sticks is a nickname. I get it. And maybe there's a story behind it that we get to explore. And I didn't catch his real name, and it's driving me insane. So it makes me think that his real name is Sticks. And he's kind of a shy child who is above average at basketball. And he has a shot at being able to play college ball. And his dad takes the opportunity to try to do whatever he can to make sure his son has this opportunity to get on a team, to get into college, and to change his future. Unfortunately for Ray, Sticks has a girlfriend, and Sticks' girlfriend decides she doesn't love him anymore right before he's supposed to have his tryouts for school, for college. So, not a great time. So, it's first love, his heart is broken. She's a little bit of a firecracker. She kind of speaks her mind and does her thing, and she's definitely an interesting character. And Ray has to try to figure out a way to make it so that his son can be focused, so that he has the best chance that he can have. And there are questions about, is he doing it for him? Is he doing it for his kid? And this is kind of where the film loses me on some of the aspects, is that the film leaves you with the fact that Ray was doing it for himself. And I'm like, was he? I mean, but was he? You know, I think the film was selling me really on this idea that Ray doesn't want his son to be like him, which is not something that you would call selfish. Lots of parents want more for their kids than they had. I don't think that that's for selfish reasons. I think that is just an acknowledgement of where they are in life, and they don't want you to live the same life, and they want you to have better. There's so many people that work to get to a point where they had more than the childhood that they had, so that their children will have a better childhood than they had, and then they're hoping to be able to propel those kids up into an even better life than they are at in that stage. It doesn't make them selfish. What I think is selfish, and what kind of lingers and gets kind of left away, is Laurie Metcalf's character. There's a moment where she makes a comment about her son's future that I did think was selfish, even though it came from a place of trauma, and it came from a place where we were supposed to feel sort of this resonance with her character. I didn't feel that. I felt like that was far more of a selfish statement about her son's future than what Ray was trying to do to get his son out of this neighborhood, out of this life, and into college, where he could possibly, get a degree and find himself and go do something other than construction. So, by the end of the film kind of splits the difference. I won't reveal that. I can't spoil the film for you. And I don't know, I was like, okay, whatever. I kind of hate the ending to the film, just to be totally honest. I kind of feel like Ray, he was setting up a story, but then he allows his character to become the villain of the story, the bad guy with this whole like, I'm selfish, and I just didn't buy that narrative, and I'm not even saying this because I'm like, I'm a father, so I understand this kind of, I'm not a father. I saw what he was trying to do, and I got it, and I understood it, and I saw that Ray, I know you always use the term, the road to hell is paved with the best intentions, and maybe that's where he got trapped. But at the same time, I think really there's something to be said for sticking with that, and just trusting in your character, and trusting in the forward motion of your story, and not walking back the character while also trying to kind of let the other one off with, with like a free pass. So, it's a little bit of a mixed movie for me. It has some stronger performances. I thought Ray Romano was really good in it. I think Laurie Metcalf is really good in it. I don't think these two have chemistry at all. I don't. They didn't even buy me. I didn't even buy them as a quarreling married couple. I bought them as two entities, individual entities who have to be on screen together. The dialogue that they share, the moments that they share, there isn't really a recognition of I've known you my whole life. There isn't that sort of mentality. It feels like two strangers, almost. And perhaps maybe that's just a part of Metcalf's narrative, cancer narrative, is that her life has changed so dramatically that she's pushed her husband away and now they are strangers. The film doesn't really quite settle with that. Maybe it's just trying to do too much and juggle too much in the air, but it didn't feel just like squabbling husband and wife. It felt like two people who weren't married, didn't know each other, were on two different sides of an issue. And I think that was something that I missed with this film. So even in the softer moments where they're trying to have nice conversations about sticks, it just, I don't know, it just doesn't feel like they're ever, she's never really able to truly let her guard down in moments and have and show us who this person was before. I feel like maybe I don't know if that's a directorial choice for Ray or what, but those two characters just never clicked for me. I think individually their performances are strong, but when you put them together, it just didn't work for me. And some of the choices that Ray makes for his character didn't work for me either. I was able to follow this film mostly. It has a lot of dialogue in it. There are some scenes. I also did watch this with a sighted person, so I know what I missed. There are some scenes where things happen and they're not verbalized, with kisses and people showing up at things and being in the crowd at things, and just a whole bunch of choices that these characters have to make that would have rounded out an audio description and made it better. I think you can follow this. I don't think it's not followable. I think it is, like, I guess, kind of stereotypically Italian. There's a lot of dialogue. I guess Italians like to talk, and Ray leans into that. And Ray likes to talk too. I mean, his roots are in comedy, so his roots are not in silence. His roots are not. I'm really good standing here emoting with my face. So there are times where you miss something because of the audio description, and there are times where it's kind of important. Things that would have just added some flavor to the scene. There's a thing going on with jackets that would have been really nice to have audio description at one point in the film. Just choices. Of course, the audio description would have made this better, would have made this more understandable. But if you're a Ray Romano fan and you want to see this, I guess I'm sort of on the fence about whether about grading it or saying it's unwatchable. I've labeled a lot of films unwatchable this year for various different reasons. Generally because the genre determines the fact that without audio description, a film like Infinity Pool that's horror-based and is based on a lot of gore, there's no point. There's no point to watching that film without audio description. So, but this, I don't know. And it may never get audio description, so that's a tough call. I don't think it's totally unwatchable. I think it's just harder to follow. It's possible even that my grade is like a notch lower than it would have been otherwise, because I just happen to be watching this with a sighted person, and I got a couple of things from them, but they're not professional narrators. I think that's what people in the industry misunderstand about our lives is that, yeah, we do watch films with sighted people, but it's so much easier for us when we have audio description and can understand the film with them, and the sighted person doesn't feel like they have to fill in the gaps. So that's why I'm here, and that's why I'm fighting for these kind of things. But and I want roadside attractions to know they've been around long enough, and even though you guys don't create Oscar films, you guys should be creating audio description. There's no reason for this. So, all of that being said, I will go ahead and grade this. I'm going to give Somewhere in Queens a C+. It's got some good performances. It's got some nice ideas. Ray Romano's direction is mostly okay. It's a little underwhelming, though. So, I will leave it at that. Anyway, thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. Please subscribe so I can continue to talk about audio description. It's really important that the industry knows that people like me are out there, because there are lots of me. I just happen to be the only one willing to sit here on a YouTube channel and talk about it. So I also have a website, macthemovieguy.com. You can follow me on Twitter, Instagram, or Threads at MacTheMovieGuy. You can go to the audio description project, adp.acb.org. It'll let you know what does have audio description and where you can watch it. And you can go to the ADNA.org. That's the ADNA.org. And if you want to know who's narrating something, you can look it up there. I will review something else for you guys and see you on the other side.